What is good, fellas? Hope you boys are all having a fantastic day. We got a brand new limited head-to-head brand new mode with lineup restrictions with the brand new Game Time promo live today in Madden 25. And as your favorite menu merchant YouTuber, it is my responsibility to hit you boys first with how to build the best possible team. But I do think there are two different ways people are going to go about when it comes to actually building their teams. First method, I think a lot of people are probably going to do, it's going to be the balanced attack. You probably use some 78s, 77s, 79s, 80s, 81s, 82s, a few 83s, and maybe 1 to 2 84s. I think that method's good. I don't think it's the best way to do it. The way we're going to talk about today, we're calling it the studs and the duds. You're going to use your top tier cards, but you're also going to use some really, really low gold tier cards. Let's hop over to the lineup restrictions right now, though. Alright, so the lineup restrictions are the following. You have to have below an 81 overall or equal to, so you can have an 81 overall. I recommend you guys are all 81 overalls when it comes to going into this brand new mode. You are limited to 7 gold or worse players, so you can't run out there with 4 88s and then the rest 70s. You can only have 7 gold players. You must have 8 game time players in your lineup. We'll talk about that in a second, but you are able to claim way more than 8 free game time players. And finally, you must have a minimum of 2 hero or champion game time players in your lineup. Now, you also get those for free. You're not getting free champions, but you are getting free 84 overall heroes, in my opinion. If you don't want to spend the coins, use your free 84 overall players. So you guys get the free game time players by playing through challenges as well as a field pass. There are 9 free game time players you guys can actually claim. 2 of them are 84 plus packs, so you will guarantee get at least 1 hero, but you might not get a champion. Doesn't really matter though. I will say though, the 87 overall champions are some of the best cards in the game. Those cards are absolutely disgusting, so you know, it would be nice to have them. So as we move over to the team, I just want to let you guys know that this is attempt 1 at building the best possible team for this game mode. I will happily update this video later in the week. Fellas, I live for this kind of stuff. I love the whole team building aspect of MUT, and anytime we have an excuse to actually build a really cool team with different lineup restrictions, I am here for that. I also always recommend making a new lineup when it comes to these new limited modes. Always just keeps it organized and makes it a little bit easier to switch between your 2 teams. Also, just don't sell off any of your actual cards by accident. I've done that before. It's not fun. Alright, so we got the brand new lineup. No players in it. You guys can see we have a not required overall. Now, first things first, you're going to want to figure out, at least for me personally, where do I want to use these 7 gold players? Initial thoughts for me, let's toss it in at the offensive line. I think I am going to have a few low overall gold players on my O-line, but I think I'm going to have 2 of them on the defensive tackle positions. Like I said earlier, you're going to want to come in here and use 70 overall gold players, or honestly just the lowest overall players you guys personally have on your bench. I don't recommend going out here and spending coins. For example, I have Miles Cole. He's going to be a 63 overall at my defensive tackle position. I don't know if that's going to stay forever, but right now he is going to be my DT1. Definitely could look to upgrade him if I can keep my overall down, but I do want to use some of my top tier cards. When it comes to team building in general, it's always just trial and error. For example, I probably could come in here later and upgrade the defensive tackle position, and I probably will. But for right now, attempt 1, this is what we're going to rock with. Now, I think the 2 least important positions for my offensive scheme are the guards. Now, I do run a little bit of pull action when I run, but in this game mode, I'm just not going to be doing it. I do think I'm going to toss in some 71 overall left guards, as well as right guards, trying to keep that overall down before we actually move on to the skill positions. I am going to ball out at the skill position when it comes to overall wise. Also, keep in mind, I still have to include 8 game time players. Now, I'm not entirely sure if they can just be backups. If that's the case, my backup running back, my backup wide receivers, that's where those lower overall game time players are going to fill in for me personally. I do want to pick up one of the 87s. I think that Micah Parsons is going to be disgusting, and you guys already saw how I built my team. I have no defensive tackle, so I get that Micah Parsons, put him on the team. I think he will be a monster for my defense. But I will hit you boys back when I have all 7 gold players in my lineup, as well as all 8 game time players selected, picked, and put into my lineup. Alright fellas, you guys see the lineup, it is starting to fill up a little bit. Let's start with the offensive line. You guys can see right here, I got 2 gold, so 2 of my 7 below uncommon players, or gold overalls, are currently being used on my offensive line. Right now I got a 71 and a 72 overall in. I'm going to remove Aaron Banks, I don't know why he's in my lineup. I also have the Season 2 Tyron Smith playing out of position for me. Now I'm not sure if this is going to work, but playing higher overall cards out of position on your offensive line might be the strat here to actually get their overalls decreased. It worked in previous years. It also hasn't worked in previous years when it comes to out of position players. If it works right now, that is 100% the meta. Use out of position offensive linemen, especially at your offensive tackle positions. Down to wide receivers, you guys can see here, I have my personal favorite wide receiver in the game, Marvin Harrison Jr., 87 speed. This is my favorite card in the game. I had to find a way to get him on the team. Wide receiver 2, though, I am currently rocking with Brian Thomas, 6'3", 86 speed, 86 XL. I got a feeling in this mode, speed is going to kill. The faster the player, the better they're going to play. And another one of my gold players, so 3 gold players so far, Xavier Worthy. He's got 86 speed, 75 overall. I mean, that's what I want from my wide receiver 3. As far as wide receiver 4 and 5 go, I will probably just toss in out of position halfbacks. I think if I don't use CMC at the running back, he might go there. I also could potentially toss in like a Jason Witten, or might just use some another gold player slots. I don't want to have to use gold players there, but we have to. Gold players will fall in slot 4 and 5. Now, quarterback, I am using Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the game, or at least my favorite quarterback I have personally used. Now, backup quarterback is one of our 8 required game time players. I got Jarrett Stidham, 80 overall, picked him up for about 16,000 coins. This promo right now is probably going to cost you a little bit of coins to actually build the team, unless you go in and play the solo challenges and get the ones for free. But for the purposes of this video, I had to spend a little bit of coins. I also got AJ Dillon, could potentially be my starting halfback, but right now he is coming in at my halfback too, as well as the game time fullback Hunter Lupicki, rounding me out to 3 of 8 required game time players. We also got 3 gold players currently in the lineup. Now sliding on over to the defense, where you guys can see it's filling up a little bit more. Like I said, for the offensive line, I did pick up Micah Parsons, and I am running him out of position. Now, if this works, this is the strat. An 87 overall, tanks down to an 85, doesn't get the team chems, but I don't care. This Micah Parsons card is going to be an absolute monster. I said I'm not using defensive tackles. I might go pick up Micah Parsons. That is exactly what I did. I got a feeling this card is going to be a stud. Defensive tackles, we've already talked about. I'm using super low overall DTs. Now, I am using an 80 overall right end, another one of my game time players, as well as another game time player at my corner 3, one of the 4 Michael Carters in the league. The last game time player we currently have is Aaron Burks at my right outside linebacker position. This card is actually pretty good. Out of all the cards we've looked at so far that are 80 overall, this is actually my favorite of the game time players. Regarding the game time players, there's one more I actually need to pick up. It's got to be an 84 or an 87. I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do with that. I'm thinking I'm leaning more towards picking an 84 so then I can use higher overall defensive backs, but we'll have to wait and see. Regarding the gold players, Jerome Baker is an absolute monster. He's got really good speed for a 79 overall. He's also a free card if you guys have Jerome Baker. This guy needs to be in every single one of your lineups. I haven't made my final decision on my starting user. I think I know who I want to use, but we just got to wait and see for another minute. Another gold here at my left outside linebacker. So final count regarding the gold players, we have officially maxed out. We got 7 golds or lower. So, no more gold players allowed to be used on this team. I'm going to go pick up that 84 overall game time player and also some defensive backs, and I will hit you boys back when we figure that all out. Alright, so for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to buy this 84 overall Tyler Higbee for way too many coins. Do not pick him up for 95k, but he is actually a pretty solid tight end. More than likely will be my starting tight end after this video, so you know what, pick him up now, and all my game time players are picked for the lineup. Alright, and the team is basically done now. You guys can see here, I am an 81 overall. We do officially hit every single requirement. Taking a look at the offensive line, I'm gonna be honest, fellas, there are a few things that I learned while doing this video. 1, your special teams, those can count as your gold players. 2, you can use a lot more good players than you actually think. And 3, you can hide players that you want to use in your specialist. For example, I am going to insert in Deron Payne. He does not affect my overall. He is an 85 overall. he doesn't affect my team overall. So if you guys want to hide in an additional running back, an additional wide receiver, an additional sub linebacker, this is where you guys are going to do it. This is actually very cheesy, the fact that you can sub in through specialist. I'm going to mess around with this a lot more, but just so you guys know, your specialists, they do not affect your team overall, so they should work. Same thing goes for players playing out of position. I got a feeling they could potentially change that, but as of right now, there is no harm in doing it. Now, taking a look at the secondary, because that is where I wanted to spend a majority of my overall points, we could call it. DB1, I got PS2, one of my favorite corners in the game. At corner 3 or slot corner, I got Antonio Cromartie. He's a B&D card for me, 85 overall, gets the job done. And finally, at corner 2, I am using one of my rookie premieres. We already talked about Micah Parsons. I picked him up for this video, but I also think he's going to be a freaking monster. Now, at free safety and strong safety, we'll start with free safety. I got the free Jabril Peppers. I potentially wanted to use a higher overall card. I do have Jalen Petrie, but I opted to use a better overall at the left tackle position. Finally, strong safety on the defense, Jeremy Chin. Also, forgot to mention, I did toss in Devon Diablo as my personal user. This card is a monster. Now, offensively, we've seen most of the offense you guys can see here. Things haven't changed for the most part. I will mess around with my specialist after I get this video up, and I will update you guys later in the week on my official finalized roster. Only thing I added was my running back CMC, one of my favorite running backs I have used. Team is good to go. And just so you guys believe me, if you guys come over here and go to your head-to-head, this mode is no longer restricted. I can hop into a game and I can play. So that is how you guys build the best possible team for the Game Time lineup regular season game mode. And fellas, that is everything we got today. If you guys enjoyed this video, you found it helpful, or for whatever reason you're really like me, you boys are in the right place. I will catch you fellas later with more bangers, but until then, peace fellas, have a great one.